It is the first officially tropical hot day in the Netherlands. As you can see, I'm wearing a little maxi dress here with a little spaghetti top, so it's very, very hot outside. So I figured it's a great time to do a very glowy summer, like vibrant makeup look. I'm going to start off by taking my strobe cream from MAC just to apply underneath my eyes for some extra glow and hydration. I slept for 10 hours last night, you guys. 10 glorious hours, very much needed, because I had a very eventful Thursday and Friday. So yesterday evening I was, well, not just evening, I was already destroyed during the day. I don't know how I made it through the day. Somehow I did. Thursday we had the defense of one of my friends from work. So a girl that used to be in our lab, she did her PhD and now she's doing a postdoc in a neighboring lab, and it was her defense on Thursday, and it was amazing, but it was also very emotional. It was also a very surreal experience because something unexpected and bizarre and surreal happened during her actual like defense ceremony. I've told a little bit before how the defense ceremonies in the Netherlands go. So it lasts 1 hour, and then in the first 10 minutes you have to give the so-called layman talk where you explain your research in, you know, layman terms, and after that you have a discussion with the manuscript committee and the opponents. FYI, this was my instant concealer from Clarins, which I've deposited in my little Tarte pot here, and I've already like made quite a significant dip in it. I actually think I'm going to be able to finish this. Anyway, so 10 minutes into the ceremony, one of the professors became sick and required CPR. Like they had to perform heart massage on him for 15 minutes until the ER came, and he had a heart attack or something of the sort. In any case, his heart stopped. He walked out of the aula by himself with a smile on his face, and it seemed like things were going much better. But for some minutes there, we all thought, oh gosh, this guy is going to die in the middle of her defense. It was a very surreal experience because the manuscript committee sits on the front and then you have the audience that sits on the back. At one point it just became so awkward, like watching someone almost like die on the stage. It was so bizarre. Don't even get me started. Anyway, everything went well. I'm taking my Double Wear Nude Foundation, which I am just very determined to finish now because I think I'm getting close to finishing this foundation. So anyway, by all standards, this went at the best possible way it could have gone, because there were 2 doctors in the aula, which is why someone knew how to perform CPR. And there was a doctor who massaged the heart of the professor for 15 minutes, which is also a lot of hard work, and I've heard that not everyone would have been able to physically do this for so long. So this guy was just very lucky that there were actual doctors in the aula who could have helped him on time, because if this had happened some minutes earlier when he was on his way to the aula, he might have not made it. But aside from that, the day was absolutely fantastic. She did a fabulous job, because not only did this happen, but she was able to recuperate from it and still perform the rest of her defense when everything quieted down a bit. So she was able to finish everything and still have the discussion with the rest of the opponents, which, trust me, is a remarkable skill to have, to have such like strong psyche. I'm going to take my Dior Backstage powder in order to set my face. We had a party in the evening. Grandma here hasn't been to a party for like 4 years at least. And my designated bedtime is around 11 p.m. So I really needed to like mentally prepare that I need to last for such a long time on that day, because you have, you know, the defense, and then you have the reception, and then there is we went with some of my colleagues out for dinner, and then we went to the party. So it sounds like a wedding, and it almost is like a wedding. Actually, I would like to do a little bit of experimenting once we have applied the bronzer. So for my bronzer, I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Sun-Kissed in medium. And I know that you're probably getting really sick of me using these bronzers, but I can't get enough of them, and I'm just really still in a testing phase. And I want to be able to use them quite a bit before I come... Oh, this is not the shade medium. Oh, I'm so sorry. This was the shade Fair. Let me correct that. Let's equalize things. So I'm going to just apply whatever is left on the brush also on my other cheek, and then we're going to take the actual shade medium and apply a bit of that over top to just warm up the complexion, because we're going for a summer look today, so clearly we're not doing anything cool toned on the cheeks. So I stayed at the party until 12:30. I had a blast. We even did a bit of dancing, and then the next day I was absolutely destroyed and I still had to go to work. I had a meeting at 11 a.m. and trust me, that was a challenge. I feel like I applied more bronzer on this side than on this side. I'm just going to clean off my brush here, and I think I'm going to take away a little bit of what's going on here because I feel like I over applied it a bit. Alright, for blush I want to experiment a little bit because my Divine Blush Duo in Paradise Glow is on its way, but I've seen so many people demo the duos by now and I'm just so very curious what would happen if I used my singles in Paradise Venus and Desert Orchid, which are the two shades that seem to be similar if not identical, on my cheeks. And my plan is to use a Desert Orchid, so this one, on the apples of my cheeks and then go in with this one a little bit over top of the bronzer to give that like gradient effect and a little bit the sunburnt, you know, bronzery type of look. I realize I already have a bit of bronzer as well, but you know, it's fine, it's going to be okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of Desert Orchid first and I'm going to try to apply that here more towards the apples of my cheeks. I just want to have like footage to compare to later when I do my first impression of the blush duos. At this point I honestly expect that they're going to look almost identical, but you know, there isn't more that we can do about it other than try, because at this point it's too late. I've already ordered the blush duo and that is that. And I'm going to basically use the same brush but then go into Paradise Venus and apply it more here underneath, almost between the blush and the bronzer, to add a little bit on to that sun-kissed effect. And I'm also going to use whatever is left on my brush and I'm basically going to put it here through the bridge of my nose like this, because this blush just gives the most beautiful sunburnt effect. See? I immediately look like I've been in the sun and my nose is just a little bit sunburned. I think this sort of like sun-kissed, sunburned look looks really good on my skin tone, and I think I'm going to really enjoy Paradise Glow. Also because on the regular I'm not going to be pulling two blushes to do my makeup, so having the two combined, and I'm really curious how they're going to look like when you fuse the two halves of the duo together. I think that would be handy and I think I would not mind having this blush in my collection. For highlighter today, I'm going to show you a little concoction that I made last week that you may have already seen on my Instagram stories. So remember how I have showed this? This palette is part of an old limited edition collection from Urban Decay, which was done in collaboration with Gwen Stefani. I was in love with the collection. To this day, I'm in love with the collection and the concept and how it was executed. I think it is possibly one of the best things that Urban Decay has ever done. But with that said, I haven't really used the original products that were in this palette for many years. There were blushes, highlighters and bronzers in here, and while they were really nice, I just kind of moved on to different formulas, better formulas. The market has evolved, formulas have evolved, and these were really nowhere near my favorite blushes and highlighters anymore. So I saved the packaging because I think the packaging is glorious and I never want to get rid of it, and I wanted to reuse the pans. So last week I finally had the heart to just scoop off the powders that were in here, which, trust me, was really hard because a lot of them were like not very much used up. And I replaced them with highlighters from my Aurora and a Dream Glow kit from Anastasia Beverly Hills, because also in these kits there were specific shades that I was using and others that I pretty much almost never touched. So I repressed some of my favorites and I made myself a little highlighter palette. Now these two are still empty, I haven't quite decided what to do with them yet. Anyway, for today I'm going to take, I think, this one here as my highlighter. FYI, if you were curious, these are the shades Lyra, no, that's Lyra, that's Eclipse from the Aurora Glow kit, and these two I don't remember. I think this one is Wish, and this one may be Dream from the, no, Dream Glow kit, I don't know. Anyway, I took like the more peachy, pinky, champagne shades from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kits. Are these my favorite formulas still? No, they are far from my favorite formulas right now because I find them to be quite chunky. and also very heavy on the pink glitter, but I still enjoy them enough to feel like they make a better content for this blush palette than what was originally in here, and I hope to just have more incentive to pull out both the highlighters and the palette now that they're housed in this beautiful packaging. I'm going to spritz my brush with Fix Plus here, and I'm going to just melt all the powders here on my cheeks. Okay, next we're going to do a little bit of a pat pairing. I want to do like a little like coral golden type of look because that just very much reminds me of summer. The first eyeshadow palette I'm going to go into is this one. This is Fleur Fantasia, which is one of the quads that I use less often, but I really should because I really like all the shades in here. And I'm going to go into this beautiful soft peachy matte shade. I really like this shade. It is like an apricot peachy shade. It's very soft, but at the same time it's not too chalky. It is just the most perfect like peachy coral transition shade that is a bit more subtle than your traditional more punchy coral shades. Think the coral shade, for example, in Utopian Dream, really beautiful, but just way too punchy for what I want sometimes, especially through my crease. Now, if you're really in a hurry, you actually can completely skip the step with the matte crease shade and immediately go into the next shade. But if I have the time to take, I will actually add this step. Next, I'm going to take my little glitter glue. This is the NYX glitter glue, obviously depotted in new packaging because my the nozzle of my original packaging broke. I forgot to tell you that the ending of my week was also quite eventful because I went to my first singing lesson. So I've always wanted to do something with music, and some of you will know that when I was a PhD student, I actually tried taking piano lessons, and I really wanted to learn how to play the piano. But I found out that doing a PhD in academia and taking piano lessons, which requires hours of practice and dedication, is a very difficult combination, especially if you've never touched a piano before and you don't really have a lot of coordination or know how to read music and use both of your hands simultaneously and a pedal. And I was just getting very frustrated, and I'm also very impatient. So I was getting very frustrated that I'm getting nowhere, and it's taking me so long to get something super basic, like something that a kid can play. So in the end, I stopped playing the piano, and I kind of always wanted to do something. Maybe I'll eventually pick up the piano, who knows, but for the time being I chose singing because that is something I also really enjoy doing. Obviously under the shower and at home is where I draw the line and imposing my singing abilities to the world. FYI, we're going to go into the Divine Rose palette now, and the next shade I'm going to take is this beautiful like hot pink coral with a golden shift on it. This is one of my favorite summer shades, and like I said, if you don't have any time, this shade is in the beautiful Blitz formula, so it's very smooth and you don't necessarily need to apply a matte shade in order to blend it out for it to look flattering. But like I said, if I have the time and I'm feeling extra, I will pull out a matte shade. I'm just going to apply this using my fingers. This is a beautiful shade. It's one of those like very smooth textures. It doesn't have much glitter to it, it just has a very smooth texture and a beautiful duochrome. So I went yesterday to my well, sort of like test lesson just to see how it goes, and talk to the lady, see where we can go and whether she thinks that there is any potential to improve or I'm completely hopeless. And luckily she said that I have a nice timbre to my voice, and she said that we can work with that. But now the question is how much more I can improve, because she asked what exactly is your purpose here, and I was like, she asked, do you want to sing in a choir, do you want to like participate in a competition? And I was like, oh fuck no. The only thing I want to do is sort of like have fun and learn a few techniques, like a few singing techniques, and that will be the extent of it for me. The next palette I'm going to go into is the Divine Rose 2 palette. And like I said, because this shade doesn't really have a lot of sparkle to it, sometimes if I'm feeling extra and I have the time for it, I will go into the Divine Rose 2 palette and I will apply a little bit of this sparkly astral topper over top of the Blitz shade from the Divine Rose 1 palette, just to give it some extra sparkle. They're very similar tones, and the astral shade has sparkle that complements the Blitz shade from the Divine Rose 1 palette really well, so I think they make a beautiful combination. So anyway, I went to my first lesson and then she explained to me that there were several like singing styles and she described them as neutral, curbing, overdrive and belting. Belting being the only one that I had ever heard of because we've watched enough Glee to have heard of belting. And then she said that I pretty much sing in neutral only. So now the goal is to teach me how to do all of these other things. So it was really fun, I really enjoyed it, and I already signed up for like a set of 10 lessons, and let's see how this goes. What am I doing for my inner corners? For my inner corners, actually, I'm going to go back into the sort of Fantasia quad, and I'm going to take this shade and apply it as an inner corner highlight. It's very much in the same tones as the shade that I put on my lid, but just maybe slightly brighter. I'm going to actually pop a little bit of that also here on my brow bone, just to be extra shiny. And now I'm going to work it with my finger, just so it's not too harsh. And on my lower lash line, I'm also going to keep it quite simple. I'm going to go back into Divine Rose and apply the gorgeous Blitz shade just lightly on my lower lashes. Just in the outer corners, I'm going to run a little bit of the peachy matte shade to maybe add a little bit more definition right here in the very outer corner of the eye to match up with the outer corner on my upper lashes a bit better. Let's apply the lip products to complete this look, and I'm going to basically stick with the same theme of like coral with a bit of gold sparkle in it. So I'm going to take Beautiful Stranger, which I only have in a mini. It is one of the matte trans lipsticks from Pat McGrath. And over top of that, I'm going to take my Lost Gloss in the shade Gold Allure, which has these beautiful vibrant gold sparkles. I'm going to apply a bit on the back of my hand and work it into the lips using my fingers. I feel juicy. Anyway, this is the final look. I really love how it turned out. This is basically one of my go-to like summer makeup looks, something that is like very glowy, very like coral gold, just light and airy and fresh, and you know, just making me think of long summer days and a lot of sunshine. I love the little sunburnt moment that Paradise Venus is giving on the cheeks. I think that blush is just so perfect for the summer, and I honestly can't wait for Paradise Glow to arrive. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look. Let me know what you thought about this whole summer makeup look that we created here. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!